Choice 2, 8th of September 2020, first 45 minutes.
Action. Okay. Listen very carefully to me. Okay? Your term mark this term mark, is going to be a cycle test and 2 class activities that you're going to do this week.
This week or next week, man? This week.
No, you know when I said this week, what I meant is this next week. I meant this week, you nana.
This next week.
Okay. All right. Talking of nanas. What?
Is it not a little squished?
Yes. But you know what? I've decided I'm going to prepare you for adulthood. So I'm going to teach you about making your life an absolute misery.
Yay.
Then you can become a parent, and then your life is, you're ready for it.
Kids are gross.
Okay, so now listen carefully to me. Okay. They're cute, man. Babies. They're bonnet.
I know,
They
they're
poo.
because just imagine being a baby and being like, I'm hungry, and someone just like sticks a bottle in your mouth. You're like, that's great.
If you're born into a good family, you might be born into absolute abject poverty or to a parent who doesn't care about you.
I honestly do not want a child.
Just wait till you have a boyfriend and you marry and then you're gonna want to have a child. I love how you're assuming she's gonna get a boyfriend or get married.
Daisy!
I'm not saying that
You're such a bitch!
Me and my girlfriend will be very happy.
Okay, did you just say me and my girlfriend?
No, because it's not.
Did you just say me and my girlfriend? I'm absolutely, yes. Yes, I'm absolutely appalled.
Why?
It's my girlfriend and I.
Absolutely appalled.
English was like going, I was like,
Yo.
did she just?
I know.
Raise the fence, we're gonna lesbian this.
Yes! Come on, Jane!
Jade's not paid enough to take that on for the rest of her life.
I understand my phrase, but this wasn't in the job description.
Okay, so listen carefully to me. Okay? You need to trust me on this issue. Okay? It will be absolutely fine, and you will be so grateful that you've gotten rid of your 2 activities.
Is it open? Do we use these things?
No.
Oh, no.
We'll bring them and I'll debate on it.
Oh, please.
No, it's not going to help you. It's going to help you in one aspect. I thought about it last night. And really, it's not. You're going to get a list of instructions that all you have to do is follow the instructions.
Ma'am, I can't follow instructions for the life of me.
No, that's true. Hi, Katie.
They'll be like, no, just
Okay, so now,
Are you gonna tell
Okay.
us the dates or are you gonna get us
no, because it's simply because it depends on how fast we go.
Ma'am, is the maths level maths mid level or maths level?
I've got to be able to mark it, so it's lower grade maths.
that goes 6x.
Okay, all right. So it'll be easy. I will teach you a process. I will give you a worksheet that gives you all the steps to do. All you have to do is apply those steps to a particular situation.
So do we need any of this?
Bring it. Know your definitions
Like off by heart?
and know the stuff that I'm busy teaching you. Understand the stuff that I'm busy teaching you, Siddles.
What days, ma'am? Shoot.
Did you just completely ignore what I said to you?
I did.
Can you
I
not
did
chew and
do
listen
days. You said
simultaneously?
2 days, I swear.
Yeah, I said on 2 separate days, but it depends on how fast I go.
Oh,
So what I'm going to have to do is teach you the work, make sure you understand the work, and then have enough time left within a lesson to be able to do that. Okay, all right.
On a Friday.
No, I don't want to leave it to Friday.
So we have you tomorrow, man.
Yeah, but you only have singles. They don't like you,
Whoa, they love us.
except Friday.
Yeah, we have no
Friday we have a double, yeah.
Yeah, but the other class has got two doubles. Okay. All right. Are we listening carefully? So please do not contact your lawyers. You're wasting money. Do not bring your Dobermans and Rottweilers to school to bite me. You need to know that it's going to, it will be fine. I would never do anything that would disadvantage you. And in fact, I think you will probably be quite glad to get good marks on this. Okay. Do we have fishy winters here? Yeah, you do. Why are you not at school, brat?
there.
Some heroes.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Okay, right, going. So some people, I've just told them later this week, and you and Katie need to make a plan because I don't know how you're going to do a practical at home. Okay, so some people, best you come to school. Katie, communicate with me. Okay, estimation of population size. This is.
It's going to be tomorrow.
No, I'm not 100% sure. Tomorrow or maybe the next day. Probably tomorrow. Probably tomorrow, the first one. No, stop whining. I don't care.
Then you're just going to get a weekly bunch of failing students.
When the marks come,
No, you don't understand what I'm trying to explain to you. It doesn't need you to do that.
Are they practical?
I'm going to teach you something. I'm going to give you a set of instructions. You follow the instructions, you do it. You get marks for it.
You don't actually have to learn anything.
Yes and no.
But you basically teach us.
Just understand, yeah, especially the work that I teach you today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Okay, right, happy. Oh, there's Fishy Winters is here with us. Hi, Winters. Okay, Sept he's changed his name. Okay, estimation of population size. Listen carefully to me. All right. Is it okay if I teach with this?
Yeah.
Not with the headache one?
Fine.
We do have one workspace, man.
Okay. No, that's what I'm asking you. Okay. So, it's very often essential for a population to be counted, or for the size of that population to either be counted directly or to be estimated. Because some populations, it's impossible to count every individual. So if there's a dam, for example, and it's got trout in it, and they need to know how many trout are in that dam, because they need to know how many people can come and fish, it's not possible to count every trout. Because one trout looks like another trout. And what are you going to do? Pull the plug, wait until all the water goes out, and then you count how many there are, and then you fill it up again, and then they're all dead in any case.
I
Yes.
just thought, we're going to measure our own quadrant sizes. Like,
What's a quadrant?
with the estimation of population size. don't
Where
you?
are we?
You know, I was reading ahead and then I just on punch.
Okay, but Jess, I need to say the following. What is a quadrant?
It, or not quadrat.
Square.
Ah, quadrat.
Quadrat. Do we? No.
Yes and no. Okay. All right, everybody happy? You understand why it's important to count a population. So even in a human population, for example, a government would need to know, where to build hospitals, where to build new primary schools, where to build new high schools, where to close primary schools because there are not many people having young children in that area, etc., etc. So to do that, they have to be able to count the population. Okay, so population counts are very, very important. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So there are two types of methods for counting populations. Okay? We listening? There's what are called direct methods, where every single individual is counted, and indirect methods, where a sample is counted, a formula is applied, and the outcome is an estimate of population number. Okay, so direct, every single individual is counted. Indirect, a sample is taken, a formula is applied, and the number is an estimate. It's not entirely accurate. Okay, we happy with that? Okay, so that's indirect methods. So in the case of direct methods, there are a number of different ways in which you have to learn that a direct method can be done, and the first one is called a census. Now this is always how they count human populations, but there are other kinds of populations where a census could be used. So if one has a game reserve, for example, and it's not too big and there are enough roads and there's an elephant population, then it's quite possible to do a census of the elephant population, because you can just drive up and down and count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, blah, blah, blah. So every individual is counted. Okay, so you know how it works in a human population. So what they do is they will declare that day the census day. So let's say they say 12th of October is the census day. So for a few weeks beforehand, somebody will come around to every single house, and they will have identified from aerial photographs where every house is. So even like on the top of a mountain, etc., and they will hand out a form to every household. That form is filled in as of the 12 o'clock midnight that day of the census. Now that doesn't mean you set your alarm and you get up at 12 o'clock and you walk around the house and you count how many people there are in the house. Because most people know how many people there are in their house. So they can fill it in a week beforehand. Okay, so it'll be, and in the case of a human census, it'll be how many people, they ask all sorts of information, who works, who doesn't work, whether they go to school, whether they go to primary school, high school, etc. And it's quite a long form, so it's a number of pages. And then within the week after that actual due date, somebody is meant to come around and collect all the forms, and then obviously it is filled in on a database and analysed. Ours was never collected last census, and after about 2 weeks they discovered census taking oak drunk as a skunk under a tree in the park down the road. So they had to replace this guy because he wasn't collecting any of the forms.
But collecting forms is not accurate, because like there's so many townships. And
not 100% accurate. But it's the best one can do, because otherwise how can one do it? There are also homeless people.
Yeah, people that don't live on the street.
Yeah, so there will be people.
And they're like,
There will be people going around. So it's not that they necessarily, if it's a person that's illiterate, then the census taker will actually fill it in for them and ask them. While they don't have a house, they're living under a bridge with X number of people on that day.
That's not accurate at all.
So it's not 100% accurate, have to admit.
And isn't it also because you could like separate how much government funds go into a certain area, because that's when people live there and need it.
Yes.
And this population has this, so you can build a hospital.
Yes, absolutely. And is it an aging population? Like in our area where I stay, it used to be an area where there were lots and lots of young couples. So there was, just down the road, there was a huge primary school, which they've had to close because now it's an aging population. Very few people in our area have children.
Where do you stay?
In Joburg.
Ma'am, how often is it updated?
I think it was 2011, the last one.
Oh, so Brazilian people are too.
Yeah, so about every 10 years, I think. It's very expensive.
So next year.
Oh my word, you're correct. It's 10 years next year. Wow. Yeah, go.
No, there's this website that shows like how many people have been born,
Yes.
how many people have died and stuff.
Yes.
How do they?
No, that's just statistically. They're just adding on statistically. So they're not going, we know for a fact that you and your boyfriend had a baby
Yeah, so
on that
how
corner
does that
last
work?
week. And no, it's just, they know the rate of birth. And so it's, okay, you're happy with what a census is. And you're happy that it's possible to do a census on certain animals. You're not going to be able to do a census on grasshoppers.
Ma'am,
Ants.
is the global population also census?
Every country would have to do their own
So
census.
they added up on the calculator 2,100.
And then they hope they don't have 6.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. A different kind of direct method is using aerial photography. Now, they now don't use aerial photography from aeroplanes so much. They would use a drone to be able to do it. Okay, but your syllabus would say aerial photography. That includes using a drone to take photographs. So what happens is, so here, for example, there's a herd of elephant. So what would happen is they would fly over the whole reserve. When it was aerial photography, they'd use an aircraft fitted with a camera that flew a strip up, down, taking photographs. Then they'd take those photographs, develop them. Now, obviously, they just have them on computer, put them together, form like a whole big aerial thing of the reserve, and count how many elephants there are. Now, obviously, elephants move, so you might find you've got a herd of 16 here, and when they flew back, a herd of 16 there that also has 2 little ones, 4 bigger ones, blah, blah. Then you realize it's the same herd. Don't count them twice. A what?
A bush. Imagine flying over and being like, look, it's an elephant and it's a bush.
No, Tony, they use intelligent people to do this. Okay. So each individual is counted. So obviously this is also a direct method. You're okay with that? Okay. All right. There are certain limitations. So, Tony, the matter you raised about a census, there are limitations to the accuracy of a census. Okay. Like in areas where there are lots of shacks, do they actually identify every shack? What about the fact that there are lots of illegal immigrants living in areas in South Africa who don't want to appear on a government census? Okay, so they won't necessarily fill in a form. All right, so there are limitations with aerial photography, for example. The vegetation type must be considered. So it's a little bit difficult to use aerial photography to accurately count the elephants in the Knysna forest. Okay, big trees, thick, can't see elephant, blah, blah, can't do it. You understand? Okay, the type of animal, its size and its speed of movement must also be considered. So you can't do this on a grasshopper. Okay, can't count grasshoppers like this. Thank you, Sinead. The rest of them are sitting there going, okay, right. Indirect techniques. So this is where every individual can't be counted. So a sample would be counted and a formula applied, and it's an estimate. All right. Now sit still and listen carefully and don't write. Do not highlight, do not
I
write.
was right. You did it right.
You said quadrant.
No, she said quadrant.
She said quadrant. She put an N into it.
Yeah. The thing is, I can see it in my mind, but I just didn't.
Okay, all right.
Didn't connect.
So this particular method, the quadrat method, goes like this. Siddles?
No, I'm
just writing quadrat method.
Okay.
Not now.
All right, listen carefully. So this is used for organisms that either don't move, or if they do move, move slowly. Snails, for example, or plants. Okay, so you have carefully planted your dagga plants in your extensive backyard in between the mealies. Okay. So you then need to predict how much profit you're going to get. You would use a quadrat method because your dagga plants hopefully don't get up and move. Okay. So a quadrat method goes, you use something called a quadrat, which is a square. Now the size of the square depends on the kind of organism you're looking at. If you, for example, are looking at your dagga plants, then you could use a thing that is 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. So you're going to buy 4 meter long dial sticks. Do you guys know what a dial stick is? Yeah, it's like this thing. Yes, exactly. There are some. Okay. All right. So you would buy 4 of these and you would stick them together with super glue. So it's 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. It's 1 meter squared. You happy with that? Okay. Then what you would do is you would go outside and randomly place the quadrat. And there are a number of different ways to ensure that it's random. But it has to be random or else it's not going to be accurate. Okay. So one of the ways of doing it is you stand there and you go, ready, steady, go! And you throw it in the air and it falls.
Ready, steady, go.
And if you don't say ready, steady, go, if you say steady, ready, go, it's not going to work. Okay.
Magic doesn't work correctly.
Yeah, and it falls. Where it falls, you go there and you count how many dagga plants there are in the quadrat and you record it. Okay, so then you're going to come up with quadrat, a nice beautiful table done with a ruler, and it will be quadrat number and it will be number of individuals. So quadrat 1, sure, is going to make lots of money, 7 dagga plants. Okay, then you pick up the quadrat and you again random. Ready, steady, go, random.
It's also like the same kind of place. Like the corner's taken off from the...
Random,
Or do you take like 4 steps where you were there and throw it again?
yeah. Or you close your eyes and throw it.
Because that's when you throw it and it lands here. You
No.
throw it and it gets there.
No.
You're still going to look the same.
Okay, right, so random. And you get, depending on how big the area is you're looking at. So the number of quadrats would have to be proportional to the size of the area. So if you're doing a 100-hectare farm, you'd have to have lots of quadrats. But Izzy's back garden isn't that big, so she's only going to have 5, if I can put 5 in here. 2, 3, 4. Don't do that, plan properly. Okay, and then you add all your figures and you calculate the average per quadrat. You know how to calculate an average, hey?
And then multiply by 100.
Okay, everybody happy with that?
So, ma'am, how do you do it?
You add them together, you divide by the number of quadrats. Okay, quadrat. Okay, so this is an example of a quadrat. Now, if you were looking at number of, say, mapani trees, then you would have to use a bigger quadrat. And those very big quadrats that are like 10 meters by 10 meters,
No, it's discus.
you don't throw. Okay. Then what you would do is you would use, you can now use a GPS thing, and you would go and stretch string. So you would hammer in a 10 peg here, and then you would measure 10 meters, hammer in a 10 peg there, and then at right angles to that, etc. And then you would put string around that, and then you would count within
And
that.
how did you notice and bugs and...
Okay, wait. Everybody happy? Everybody understand how a quadrat works? Okay. Then, when you've got a reasonable number of quadrats, and there has to be, for reliability, there have to be quite a few quadrats, and as I said, that is determined by the size of the area that you're looking at. Everybody happy? Okay. Average number of individuals per quadrat calculated. This formula is then applied. This you have to know. Okay, look at me. Stop writing. Population size is the average number of individuals in a quadrat. That's what you calculated here. Times the total habitat size. You understand what that is? So the total area of Izzy's back garden, or the game reserve that you're looking at, divided by the quadrat size.
In meters or centimeters? Meters.
It depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at the Mupani trees and it's 10,
Then your population size will just equal that. So it would be like average number in quadrat. So is it per
quadrat.
Quadrat. So it would be quadrat 1, quadrat 2, or it would be average from all the quadrats. Quadrats.
Average.
So
Average.
it will be your average or your quadrats.
Average.
So at the end of it, it would be that number times the habitat size of Izzy's garden. Would it be in meters squared?
Depends on how big Izzy's garden is.
So let's, man, would it be 10 meters squared, or would it be like 10?
No, it might be 10 meters. It'll probably be 10 meters squared. She's got a small
So
back
you
garden.
have to work out that length times breadth, that to get your habitat
Yes,
size.
yes.
And the quadrat size
Yes,
would be your, let's say it would be 2 meters by 2 meters, so it would be 4 meters squared.
yes.
Okay, and then you'd be like, oh, let's say there is the population size of average 7 duck plants per meter squared.
Yes, exactly. No, so you're going to get an actual figure for the number of duck plants in her back garden.
Per meter squared or per 4 meters?
No, the whole back garden.
Oh, so that's your population size would be the whole garden.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And so that's
That's what you're doing. Otherwise, you might as well just count in a meter, in a quadrat and go, no, you want to know how many there are in the garden and you're a lazy little brat, so now you use this method.
So ma'am, your average number in quadrat is, it's basically all these kind of, so if there's 9 here, there's 7 there,
Yes,
you'd be like, oh, the
Average
between
is
these
8.
two is like 8. So then you put 8 times habitat size.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay,
Then would you give us the habitat size unless we work it out?
We can cry.
why do you think I'm giving you this to do?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Oh,
Now, do you think if we grew Duffer as like an experiment, the school would like shout at you? Be like, we're testing photosynthesis and we just found seeds.
Okay.
Would you light it on fire
So-
and stand around it?
that's also a quadrat there.
I'm so serious, you're not
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
All right, I'm going. Shh. Okay. Is there anyone who needs me to go back and go through this again? Or are you all okay? Tony, shut up. I'm not doing it for you. Okay. So here, for example, is a field of 250 meters squared. No, Tony. Is divided into quadrats of 10 meters squared. So each of these is 10 meters squared. Okay? You would count the number of dandelions, and you're not interested in the other plants. You only count the plant that you're interested in. So Isabella didn't count all the weeds, she only counted the weed. Okay. Okay. In each of the randomly selected quadrats, Tony, I'm going. Labeled A to E. So these were randomly selected. Calculate the average number of dandelions in the quadrat. Apply the formula. Population size equals average number in the quadrat. Habitat size, quadrat size. So dandelions